What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Off the Rack. I am your host, Sal, and with me is unfortunately not my amazing and frankly more credible co-host, Tiffany. She is not feeling great, so it's just going to be another solo episode for us today, one of the last episodes of 2024, and I think it's actually going to be fine because 2025 is when we really hit the road with the rubber. I hit the road part before I said the rubber part, so I didn't get to say, the actual expression or idiom, which is when the rubber meets the road. But that being said, I am excited because we're going to be talking about a bunch of new books that came out. We're going to talk about some comic book news that came out as well, and we're going to give some recommendations for comics that are coming out this week that we think you should check out. In addition to that, we also have super chats. Those are our sponsors for today's show. That's folks who are watching the show live who want to contribute to it in some way. You can use super chats, ask a question or comment, we'll read it here on the show, and you'll be part of the show forever. We're going to relegate that section to its own special point in the show where I get to read all those, address them, give you as much time as possible, though that might be a little bit more loosey-goosey, given that it's just a solo show for today. But I am no stranger to solo shows, so I'm happy to support how this show goes in this particular format today. But rest assured, this is not the norm. This is not the usual. In fact, it isn't without Tiffany that I would be able to do this. Tiffany actually came up with a number of shows that are part of the ComicPop infrastructure, which includes Back Issues, everybody's favorite show over on youtube.com/ComicPop, and this show Off the Rack, in fact. While Tiffany was not one of the original co-hosts of the pre-recorded 11-year-old show Off the Rack, she was the pioneer for the, I want to say frankly, better incarnation of the show, which is much more timely. It's a lot less work for all of us, and we can get more books talked about in one whole video, which is what you're here for. You don't want to watch like 11 videos about 11 different books, or if you do, you're going to be doing it, frankly, like this, like swiping, and that's not how people prefer to do that in today's world. Used to be for like a very finite amount of time while we were still doing YouTube, at the same time that this particular thing was going on. You could release multiple videos in a day. And in fact, YouTube was expecting you to do that, which is why so many videos were not just, kind of evergreen or not disposable, but also shorter. Although the shorterness was also just because they didn't have the, they didn't have the server space. But yeah, man, I'm hyped. So let's jump into some new comics that are out already, that came out the day after the holiday. I believe it was the 26th, so everything kind of got delayed. But yeah, man, I'm excited. But before we do that, news. Right, of course. Comic book news. I saw a little bit of news today, and I know people are talking about it in the chat. And by the way, if you are watching the show live, thank you very much. If you watch the show after the fact, check us out on Monday nights around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is when we go live here on youtube.com/ComicPop Returns. And by the way, if you don't want to miss it, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications so you know when we go live, which is Monday, the day or two before New Comic Book Day. But yeah, I saw that there is some casting announcement coming from the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie, which is that Jason Momoa has been cast officially. And when I say officially, I mean, I didn't see the specifically official word, although I think I saw James Gunn tweet a picture of the character and I think confirm it as well. So that's really the official part. But Jason Momoa is coming back to the DC universe, but new universe and new character. Jason Momoa, formerly of Aquaman fame, is now going to be portraying the character he should have been cast as in the first place, Lobo. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we have another official big-time DC character in the DC universe, in the interconnected James Gunn DC universe cast. Jason Momoa, he's back. I agree. There's some folk in the chat who are already chiming in about how Lobo, Momoa is just born to play Lobo. I think he knew that as well. I think he said this months ago. In fact, maybe over a year ago, he said on social media, "Oh boy, I can't wait to play the character I was actually meant to play." I think everyone was like, "Yeah, Lobo, right, perfect." I'm down for Momoa as Lobo. I've always been a big champion of Momoa as Lobo. The question is, what about getting Lobo into Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow? Because if you haven't already read it, you absolutely should, first of all. Tom King, Bielke Ively, amazing series. Tiffany did a whole back issue episode on it if you want to get familiarized with the series. But also just a beautiful and incredible comic book, and robbed of an Eisner. But Lobo apparently was supposed to be in that originally. I believe it was either like editorially suggested or editorially excised. I'm not sure which one is which, but if you actually check out some of the old Tom King interviews that we've done here on this channel, I know that nugget of wisdom was dropped in one of those episodes. I couldn't tell you specifically which one because I've talked to Tom so many times now. But yeah, apparently Lobo was supposed to play a character, a crucial role in the Supergirl book. And so now the opportunity has arisen to put Lobo into the DC universe by way of the Supergirl movie. I don't know how to feel about this, because I do believe that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is just a beautiful, classic, enduring, borderline perfect comic book. And changing the source material or changing the adaptation, we're not changing the source material. It's not like they're going to go back and add Lobo into the background of all these, printed books, but changing it for that for arbitrary reasons or the reason of just introducing Lobo to the universe. I don't know. I'm not sure I feel great about it, though I do like the news. It feels good. I gotta tell you, it feels good to speculate about a new universe again. It feels like old times. It feels like old times to be able to just jump into into a new universe, a familiar but still unfamiliar in terms of how they're going to execute it universe. And I'm just excited to be talking about it in general. The Marvel stuff. Darcy and Howard the Duck had an egg in the cartoon that got canceled. It doesn't feel quite the same as being like, oh my God, they cast Lobo, and oh my God, they're gonna make a Supergirl movie, and oh my God, they're gonna do a straight up adaptation of this comic. That's awesome. Like I mean, it's awesome in theory. It's awesome to talk about, and I feel good. So I'm down. And maybe it's an opportunity for us to go back and talk about some of these books that we know are being adapted. And in fact, the fact that they're doing Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow as a full-on movie, as a straight-up adaptation, the fact that we're even going back and adding in characters that maybe were supposed to be in the book in the first place, means that we're actually getting straight-up adaptations, which means when James Gunn says, oh, we're doing this, he means it, folks. And that's like rare, and it feels good. So it does beg the question, though. I didn't hear nothing about no Clayface movie when you made that string of announcements, but I did remember you saying something about a Swamp Thing movie. Where's the announcement for that casting? Where's that going? James Mangold's supposed to be making a Swamp Thing movie. Oh boy. But yeah, keeping on track. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow got another cast member. It's Lobo. It's Jason Momoa. I'm down. I'm excited. At the very least, for Momoa to return to the DC universe, this time as a character he should be. But I'm down. So I'm going to reserve judgment for at least the trailer when it comes to this. But as I say, every time that there is an adaptation coming out, I need you folks and everyone, including myself, to remember that this does not, because the book is self-contained, because it is now celebrated long after it should have been, by the way. But now that like Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is required reading, they're not going to go back and change it. The adaptation they're making is not going to affect the original source material. So for the love of God, folks, tell people about it. Share the enjoyment and passion you have for the original comic with those who might be excited about it because there's a movie coming out with the same name. So yeah, that's all I got about news as far as, that's concerned. But I will give you a quick recap about our holiday. We had a nice time. Holiday was good. Hope yours was as well. Let us know in the comments if you got some comic-related swag over the holiday season. Let us know in the comments what it was and what your favorite thing you got was. I don't have anything here because I'm actually, frankly, afraid to bring anything back to the studio. We had some environmental issues lately. We had a massive leak over the back issue set. A couple of set pieces were destroyed, and we're dealing with that. Now I want to say there's 7 buckets that are all trying to catch all the leaks. It was actually pretty okay for a little while. Then the snow came. Then the rain came. Then the heat came, which melted more of the snow, which added more leaks. This is a perpetual and persistent issue, and it's one of those trade-offs where it's like, we have this amazing studio. And when I say amazing, I am not giving credit to the landlord or the developers. I'm giving all credit to, the fact that we have a studio and you who make it possible to pay the rent, which is arguably lower than the trend, but is still too high for this kind of treatment. That said, but we got a lot of cool stuff, and I don't have it on hand to show you. But I got a couple of gorgeous Penguin Random House bound Stanley Jack Kirby books from family members and loved ones. I got that awesome. They're gorgeous, and I'll see if I can pull one up at some point. But like, they're so cool. Just basically like the first couple of volumes of the beginnings of like Fantastic Four, X-Men, and then Ethan hooked me up with the Penguin Random House Spider-Man paperback that I was so keen on, which was going back a few years. But yeah, let us know what your cool swag was in the comments. Outside of that, let's talk about some comic books, shall we? Let's see here. I guess we'll talk about Superman 21. This is a Joshua Williamson, Dan Mora book. Superman is enjoying Lois Lane's ability to be super, having stolen the powers of General Zod, who is on his way back to Earth to presumably reclaim them. Things still feel a little cohesive because I don't know if you guys have read Justice League Unlimited, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But in that, there's a little plot thread. It doesn't come up in Superman, but like, I'll bet it does. The instrument that the atoms use to bring powers back to their respectful owners. I'm excited to see that all come to a head in the Superman books. But in this issue, this is what Joshua Williamson likes to call fun and games. We were talking about this on our sister show, All Stars, which is just a show that comes out monthly where I and the author of this book, Joshua Williamson, sit down and talk about comic books, and he teases a lot of the things that he's working on. In fact, we were supposed to shoot an episode just this past week. Scheduling didn't permit, so hopefully this week, actually, I'll be able to sit down with Josh, have that out, and it'll be dropping on Tuesday. Not this Tuesday, next Tuesday. But that's all if everything works out. But yeah, man, I know some people are chiming in about how dope this cover is. I mean, like, Dan Mora, I don't know. I mean, not that I don't know where he came from, but man, like, DC was so lucky to have the intrepid talent scouts contact this guy and be like, hey, do you want to draw some of the most iconic characters in the DC universe? Or in the case of, Batman, Superman, World's Finest, some of the not so iconic characters or fan favorites. But man, yeah, he's crushing it. And Mora doing this series is just dope because Dan Mora is just crushing it. He even redoes a panel from, I believe it's the penultimate issue of the Death of Superman arc by John Bogdanov, which just shows Superman and Doomsday fighting with flat colors, like old original colors, old school versions of the colors. And it still looks fire. Even though going back, man, like if you ever go back and read The Death of Superman, every artist is just killing it, like doing really contemporary stuff. But I digress. This issue is Superman's like, I want to go. I'm having kind of a hard time because Doomsday's back. He's under lock and key. They have the Black Mercy kind of derivative in Doomsday's system. There are a couple of like fun, cute interludes in this issue, but Superman's kind of like addled because the future version of Doomsday, now revealed to be the Time Trapper, has basically said, kill me so I can ascend, lest your life get worse because Doomsday and so forth. So this is an issue where Superman's like, I just kind of want to go on the date with my wife and have an awesome time and be super. So they go to the moon and they play darts and they go all over the place and just have a good time. They have a couple of team ups. They go to Gem World. They help Amethyst out. Really cool stuff. And like, man, I knew, it's funny because there's a moment where I went, whoa. And then I remembered that Josh actually told me about it ahead of time. But there's a sequence in there where they're in Gem World and Amethyst is having like a civil war. And Dan Mora goes, oh yeah, undead knights and stuff. I used to draw that in a book that Tiffany loved called Once and Future from Kieran Gillen and Dan Mora. dude, just a couple of pages, but undead knights fighting gem-based warriors. It's really, really cool. But you get that in just a scene in a book that someone will write off as nothing happened in this issue. So much cool stuff happened in this issue. It's just that it was fun to read on its own, and it's part of the ongoing saga of serialized fiction. Definitely worth checking out this series if you haven't already. Alluding to more things. Jimmy and I believe Silver Banshee are still together, and it's like cool. Yeah, a lot of good stuff from this title, and Dan Mora only makes it that much more awesome looking. But you get to see what Doomsday dreams about, which I don't think it is, but we alluded to an idea in back issues about Doomsday that looks like it might be in this. I don't know. I can't say that to be sure, but I can say that Superman 21 is fantastic. So definitely worth checking out. Let's see here. Keeping in that same vein, I also read Justice League Unlimited #2 from Mark Waid and Dan Mora. Again, it was like, man, when I heard that Dan Mora was leaving World's Finest, I was like, what are we going to do? First of all, the World's Finest title is fine. The art is fantastic in World's Finest. But I'm happy to see that Waid and Mora are still working together on a book that will feature essentially everybody in the DC universe, but it's going to be set in the now. In this title, they're dealing with like rogue parademons and stuff. This book could benefit from a dedicated narrative through line, or rather a point of view character. Now, I know that we've already established a point of view character in the first issue, but like, we're not here for them. We're here for Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the rest. Mary Marvel makes a fun appearance. There's a couple of fun appearances in this, including a horror sequence from Jaime Reyes. But yeah, it's a good series. It's fun. It's only 2 issues so far, but I do wish it were a little more focused. It could be that Waid is like setting things up and he's just kind of working on that, but I do feel like it's a little unruly. Mora makes it a treat to look at, and everything that's happening is fun and cool. Like, we get to see Batman kind of like taken down. We get to see a sentient parademon. We get to see Martian Manhunter test his resolve and become a potential future problem for the League. And we see a few characters that maybe some of us have never heard of before, who I'm sure have been around since the 40s. But yeah, it's a good series. It's a fun book. It's just that I was like, I'm kind of like, look, I'm hoping. One of my favorite things about comics is, the experience of reading about a protagonist. When it comes to a team book, it's harder to pin down who the lead is, but I do dig it. It's not quite as centered as I would hope. In addition, I also picked up Black Canary Best of the Best #2 from Tom King and Ryan Sook. If you aren't reading this is one of the top Tom King books out today. And it is all of the hallmarks or jabs that I give Tom King from time to time. We've got a protagonist who's sad, and there's a much more sad and scary problem at the source of their trauma / fears and concerns and sorrow. But there's also this fun action set piece of Black Canary fighting Lady Shiva. This is all, of course, coming out of the kind of like the official roster of like the most dangerous women in the DC universe, and how Black Canary is like 3, or she's the 3rd best fighter in the DC universe, and Lady Shiva's #1. So we're watching this kind of like underdog fight, and that's kind of like what a lot of folks, I'm sure, are here for. Some fantastic renderings of action and pain from Sook, while also seeing if you've ever read Watchmen and you are aware of the origins of Silk Spectre, they're on display in this. If you want to read about why Black Canary might be so driven and how she got to be the 3rd greatest fighter in the DC universe and what she had to sacrifice to get there, this is your book. it is going to be sad, and it's going to be kind of a downer. I mean, it's always sad to see parental figures abusing their children because they are pushing them to essentially replace them. Because King's using the origins of, like, Dinah Lance is not the first Black Canary. The art is spectacular. Sook is amazing and crushing it. And there are sequences of joy, extreme cold, action sequences. There's a moment where Black Canary is bloody, bruised, broken, and lying on the mat, and then is spat on. And it's just like, oh, it's just so visceral. I do think that King is really playing it up with the announcer guys and their word choice. I think it's a little, it is certainly how I talk, but I don't think it's how, professional boxing ring announcers, especially multiversal ones like these guys, would talk, but what would I know? But yeah, Black Canary Best of the Best is also a work of love by King. He's been trying to make this book forever. He's been working on it for a long time. At the very least, he's working towards getting the green light for this book for a long time. And so I'm enjoying this. I do love it, and but I am like, it's as real as any Tom King work, where I'm like, ugh, like how Dinah's mother treats her is certainly not how I would treat any children of mine, but it's also just like it's dark. It's dark, and you understand it, and there's a moment where I'm like, this is straight up child abuse, and I hate it. And I don't like. Black Canary wants to be Black Canary, but how much does she want to be Black Canary, and how much is what she is childhood trauma instilled in her by her mother and her, childish hero worship of her mom? Like, that's all on display, but it's also like supposed to be that complicated. You're supposed to be like, I mean, but there is no Black Canary without all this horrible shit. But yeah, I think it's just, it's as maturely written as most, if not all, of Tom King's recent work. And I dig it. It's just, but it does, I don't know if I want to feel how I feel when I read it. That's the nature of reading fiction, is that A, we have choices, but B, we seek out art that hopefully challenges us. This is no challenge to read, I should reiterate. It is a delight to look at, and it is entertaining as hell. And I think, in light of like that Netflix leak, where Netflix is like pressuring and has been pressuring screenwriters and developers to have their characters announce how they feel so that people can continue to follow the plot while they're not watching Netflix and instead doing laundry or, going to the bathroom, or whatever the hell people are doing instead of watching TV when they purport to be watching TV. In light of, the almost like suffocation of media literacy, I do appreciate a book like this. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's gross and terrible. That's another topic for another discussion for another show. But for now, I just wanted to say I dig on Black Canary Best of the Best, even though it's kind of a drag, but not in the way that Jenny Sparks is more of a drag. I don't dislike Jenny Sparks, but we'll save that discussion for the next issue of Jenny Sparks, because I am still reading that series. Going further, I of course read Amazing Spider-Man 64, because why not? Justina Ireland, doing a nice job taking over for Joe Kelly, or rather continuing Joe Kelly's work. Amazing Spider-Man, art by Gleb Melenkov. This is more of Spider-Man facing the challenges of these interdimensional Cyttorak children, and it's more of the same. I mean, I'm not knocking it. You sign up for the 8th Death of Spider-Man. In each issue, he's going to die. He's going to fight another child of Cyttorak, or in this case, the twins of Cyttorak. You're in for a penny and for a pound. This is what the book is. That said, I found it to be entertaining at the very least. There's a sequence where Spider-Man's new girlfriend goes to Aunt May's place because he's supposed to have, lunch with or dinner with Aunt May and his girlfriend, and he's not there because he's doing this instead, and Spider-Man, but also trying to remember the lesson that Black Cat instilled in him in the last issue about, trying to be living in the moment and appreciating the little things while they're still here. And, there's also like a new issue that they brought up, and it's the openings, like it's the cold open for the issue where Spider-Man's talking to Doctor Strange and he's setting up like how he's going to do the time thing that he did in the previous issue. And he's like, is there any way that I can like win without dying? And I was like, yeah, that's an interesting point, because like I thought that the idea was that he had, and it was just my misinterpretation of like the rules, but regardless of whether he wins or loses against the Children of Cyttorak, he has to die anyway, which is what the rods are for, the resurrection rods. But yeah, he's trying to kind of like weasel out of it. He's like, I'm tired of dying. It hurts and it sucks. And I'm kind of like, I appreciate it. It is certainly something that I would want. I'd want to get out of dying if I had to die on a regular basis for a thing that I more or less never signed on for. But I feel I'm constantly reminded of like previous Spider-Man stories where like this would have been dealt with already. Like Peter would have rallied, he would have like gone through it, even back during like the Babylon 5 creator JMS's run. Like there's that great moment in Happy Birthday in 500 where he's just like, I can't do it anymore, and then it is a spectacular sequence with him and Doctor Strange of all characters. But he's like, I can't do this anymore. Like I can't, and I won't, and it's not fair. And it's just like, eventually he swallows it up and he's like, all right, bring it on. And we got a double page splash of like everything that's gone through Spider-Man's life. And it's like drawn by John Romita Jr. during kind of like the height of his career. And man, I saw that image everywhere. But yeah, I'm reminded of moments like that. And I'm just kind of like, we're like 3 or 4 parts into your run here, or your charge. You complaining about dying now? It's not a problem. And in fact, it is much more enjoyable to read than any issue of the Wells run. But it's more the same. If you want to see Spider-Man wear a fun, I'm sure on the horizon, Marvel Legends figure action figure costume, while also like being Spider-Man, the first twin is sends some predator dogs to go hurt innocent people, and Pete uses spells in a really clever way, which I also appreciated. But yeah, it's if you want that, this is the book for you. If you don't, I mean, it wasn't going to change. But Ireland does do a nice job of balancing both. She does do a nice job of balancing the Peter Parker stuff and the Spider-Man stuff. I don't like most of what Peter's been up to, but I think that it's important to do the balancing when you can. But it's funny I should mention Amazing Spider-Man because, of course, this is brought up by Joe Kelly, but also B, featuring Doctor Strange, and it's about magic and so forth. And the reason why I even broached that subject is because one of our local experts on magic, particularly in the Marvel universe, has decided to join us when we thought originally that she couldn't, and I'm very excited to invite Tiffany, co-host of Off the Rack, to the show. And this is also, I should point out, that part of the reason why we are doing this remotely, it's twofold. One, you're not feeling great.
No.
2, we have one car.
Yeah,
know,
and I wasn't going to join
together.
But you gave me the link, so I was like, all right.
Well, I gave you the link because I thought, I don't want you to feel like you were being frozen out of your own show. This is your show.
It's all good.
But yeah, so I was just giving Amazing Spider-Man's flowers as possible as I could make it.
Sure.
Where I was talking about how, Ireland does a nice job of balancing the Peter Parker Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it sounded like you didn't like it at all.
No. No. I think if you pay attention to the things that I do and do not like, particularly when it comes to Spider-Man, you will know when I don't like it.
Yeah.
And in this case, if you can't tell,
no,
then I don't not like it. I can. I think emphatically I can say I don't not like it.
Yeah. Okay. What?
but I can't say that I love it. But it has absolutely nothing to do with what
Well,
Ireland's doing.
it was interesting because like your point about Peter's death or like his issue with dying. I'm like, I think that's very different than Peter's time having faced death in the past, because the
Yeah.
fact that it's been like 3 deaths over a very short amount of time, and there's special note every time that it's excruciating.
Yes.
Right? So it's like you have to face this like within, I don't know, let's say like less than a week, like just dying 3 times in these horrific ways after thinking you've won. It's pretty demoralizing. And it's not even
That's
supposed
fair.
to be your job. Like this is not what you're supposed to be doing. You know, really
Yeah.
someone who's more magically inclined should be doing this.
Yeah. No,
So,
I hear you.
for me, I'm like, I like the fact that Peter's like, yeah, okay, but how can I stop this part? Like, I'm winning and I need the wins because I want to make sure I save everyone. But let's be honest, like, I am not prepared for this in the way that Doctor Strange is. Doctor Strange made this pact, right? Like, he's
Right.
the one who was like, I'm used to this stuff. It happens, right? Like,
You're gonna die sometimes. Yeah.
you're gonna die, and you have like a backup plan. Do you not have a plan, Peter? Okay, fine. We'll talk
Well,
about
how
that
can he have
later.
a plan? He's like, my usual plan is trying not to die. If I know
know.
it's a foregone conclusion, I don't know. Besides
I
making
know.
peace with my maker, I don't really have any other recourse.
Yeah, no, I know, but like that's why for me, I'm like, nah, Peter, like being like, how can we stop this for me?
Yes.
Totally makes sense. Like he's just a guy who's just like, nah, like listen, I am all for it. I am here to help people. And once you like let me know that it's like in the face of this utter annihilation or the fact that other people would suffer, yeah, I'm gonna do it. But like if I could do it without having to die,
All the better.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and he's like, it is essentially part of my whole shtick. I do try to do the right thing and save people without dying.
Yeah.
Ideally, in an ideal circumstance.
Yeah.
But that's fair. How'd you like the art? I thought it's fine. You know,
So
it's
I really love every time that Spider-Man is Spider-Man, and I love the way that the Children of Cyttorak look. I like all of that. I don't necessarily love Peter Parker at
No.
times. Like I just don't love it. Sometimes I'm like, "Oh no, this is good." And then other times I'm like, "Oh no, it's just I don't know." But Spider-Man I think looks really fun.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate them, you know, closing the loop on the time travel thing where it's like Peter will have to do this in the future. And I thought I liked the idea of it being like a dodecahedron. I liked them working together on it. I just didn't love Peter's face. There's like he's working on it, and it's like, listen,
Yeah.
we're not all super attractive when we're like really concentrating on something, but it just seemed like less about like, well, I'm going to show like the real human condition and more about like, I just want to draw Spider-Man. Like that's what it felt like.
It's fair. That's what I'm here for. I'm just here to write. I'm just making sure I don't get fined. I'm just here to draw Spider-Man, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
But overall, like I think it's fun and I think it's smart since I know they're gonna be launching a new Doctor Strange book, to have him just constantly be astral projected. So you could just say whatever.
That's true.
Like, oh, he's off doing something else.
Well, he could also be simultaneously astral projecting. Like he could be there. He could be astral projecting in another book.
He's simul streaming, essentially.
Exactly.
Like he's over on TikTok and Twitch at the same time.
Exactly. Which, by the way, you are occasionally on. So if you guys are interested, in
not this
streams,
week,
not this week, but next week probably we'll be back to streaming.
We'll be back strong.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays on YouTube.com at ComicPop Plays and YouTube and Twitch.tv/ComicPop. You can watch Tiffany play Marvel Rivals right now.
That is the plan.
That is the plan. Somebody mentioned they wish that this show was on Twitch, and I was like, that's fair. Would that hurt us or help us? But in the meantime, if they want to watch ComicPop content on Twitch, we got you covered.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah,
like overall, like this is fun to me. The magic part of this is fun to me. Watching Shay and Aunt May talk about how much Peter sucks, I'm like, yeah, and I get it. Like I keep hoping because in my brain this is a magic book and not a Spider-Man book, so I'm entirely incorrect about that. But I'm like, and Shay will turn out to be one of the Children of Cyttorak. Cool, moving on.
I'm all for it. I'm very okay with that. Like that's the last test.
Yeah,
that'd be fine with me.
But like I know that's not what it actually is, and it's just because I am like programmed to like think like, oh, everything is magic. So like, yeah, let's just make her that. Like I'm like, any minute now we're gonna reveal like child of Cyttorak. Here she goes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nope. Nope. And it's just,
Well,
it's,
there needs to be some kind of fun twist. It can't just be that like here what you see is what you get.
I
But
guess. I don't know. I feel like there could be or there could not be. Sometimes I feel like, and as much again, like I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this book,
yeah.
but I'm enjoying it for the magic side of it and for Peter and Doc working together. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when Peter is written, it feels like Peter is a parody of himself.
100%. That's
Um,
certainly how it is. I mean, that's how
but
it
it
has been.
it did, yeah, and that's kind of what it is. It's just like, well, like Peter has like, oh, he's finally got a gallery opening, but he can't enjoy it and he's not focused on it. And, it's all gonna
Yeah.
just slip away from him or whatever. And oh, he's got this great relationship opportunity, or poor put upon Aunt May, who's, doing all these things. And I'm like, Aunt May, if you recognize that your nephew does not have the capabilities to do the things that you need him to do. First of all, like I get that you want him to be better and you expect to have expectations of him, but at the same time, like at what point are you to blame for not understanding his capabilities? Like regardless
Well,
of him being Spider-Man or not, but in this day and age, for her to look at this situation and not be like, okay, I can't obviously ask him to go do this very super important thing, but like, could you get me some eggs? Like, that's not a live or die situation. All right, so we don't have wheat cakes tomorrow. Okay, fine.
yeah. You
But
just reminded me there was actually a book where he has to bring Aunt May barbecue sauce, and it's one of the best Spider-Man books solo done in one stories of all time. We did a whole back issues on it one time.
yeah.
But yeah, it's funny you should say that because we'll take this digression to mention that Tom Brevoort was talking about Spider-Man again. He said, I think actually it wasn't Tom Brevoort. I'm sorry. It was an excerpt about Tom Brevoort where they said when Tom wrote his manifesto about Spider-Man pre-Brand New Day, he said Spider-Man at his core is a story about youth. And the older we make Peter, the farther it gets from that. If Peter's making mistakes and learning because he's young, that's great. If he's 40 and making mistakes, he's kind of a loser.
Wow, ouch, Tom.
I know. Well, I'm
I'm
glad to hear
sorry.
that
I'm
Tom
sorry,
Brevoort doesn't make
Tom.
any mistakes.
Yeah, he doesn't make mistakes and he has it all figured out.
I'm glad to hear
Good for
that
you.
any 40-year-old has got it figured out because I know my parents did a bang-up job. I also need to point out that my rebuttal to that was like essentially they're treating Spider-Man like an algorithm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's been the problem where it's like you mentioned that it's like, oh, it feels like a parody of himself, and it's like, yeah, that's going to happen when you go like, well, we got to do the metric, we got to plug in the formula for Spider-Man. And it's
yeah.
like that's not going to be engaging and fun. That's not how you do soap operas. Soap
Right.
operas, which is Spider-Man is, or even YA fantasy novels, like Spider-Man basically is the protagonist for.
Yeah.
They spiral out of control. They go on tangents and deviations all the time.
I think the issue is that like I don't know if it's just that like they don't want to try to see, or there's not a writer out there that wants to stretch themselves in order to be like, okay, but like if he was 40, what types of 40-year-old mistakes would he be making? What other things could we do with him then? It just
Yeah.
feels wildly uncreative if what you're saying essentially is like the only way that Peter Parker works as like a child, essentially. When he's young, that's the only time he works. Other than that, like why would we even have him? And I'm like, that just kind of means that maybe you don't understand your character.
Which
And if
is
it's
unfortunate.
but like if you're simultaneously like trying to push Miles Morales as like a younger Spider-Man with his own stories and his own like, group around him,
Mm-hmm.
why would you then also be like, but also Peter has to be young too?
Right.
I'm
I
like,
don't know.
doesn't that like kind of subtract from one another? I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. Are there any other?
As of right now, he just doesn't feel like he's even like younger.
No, that's the problem. Is that like he's not, whether they acknowledge it or not. He's not portrayed as being like a kid or being like a youthful, scamp. He's I mean, because he did all those things. He's had all these adventures. They still say it all happened, so he has to be an adult.
Yeah.
Are there any other books that you read off the besides what's coming up?
No.
Okay, so well, I only asked because we're going to talk about Absolute Wonder Woman, and I don't want to like if you were like, oh no,
did you already talk about Batman?
no.
because I really wanted to know what well, you can talk about that afterwards, but I really wanted to know. I wanted to be a part of what the title was because we didn't talk about it ahead of time.
Yeah, we can talk about Batman now if you like.
No, but you can do it. We can do it after. That's the big book. So
all right, yeah, that's true. That is our you
do it whenever you want.
book.
I can always just listen.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's see here. So yeah, Absolute Wonder Woman, number 3 from Kelly Thompson and Hayden Sherman. Yep. This is more. This is they introduced the like Cthulhu-esque threat from the previous issue, the Tetracide, and Wonder Woman's still dealing with it. And this is how she chooses to do it. Well, also there's a flashback / backstory, which deals with like how Steve Trevor was in hell and also is now still walking around.
Yes.
Man, what a great get Kelly Thompson was for them to get her to do this Wonder Woman book, because I remember when Brian Azzarello was doing that Wonder Woman series that you enjoy, from New 52, and how radical and how like upsetting people like it had been to people.
Yeah,
their fuzzy little heads would explode if they read a book like this. Like,
I guess, yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, this is so like unapologetically original.
Yeah, but the thing is that they can just write this off, like people who didn't like that version of it, right? This is
that's their Wonder Woman, right? That's the only Wonder Woman. This is Absolute Wonder Woman. Totally different.
This is a different Wonder Woman. Who cares? Who cares? Yeah, that said, like I do love this Wonder Woman. This issue for me, like I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was quite as strong, and I have like one critique of it, but otherwise, like overall, I really am digging this series. I really am enjoying the like mythology and the like antagonist that she is dealing with, and the fact that there is like this is all happening and like clearly there is a reason for this to happen, but we don't know it yet.
Yeah,
and I kind of love it. Like we are dealing with the current danger, but I'm like, obviously there's something behind all of this.
Yeah, we're gonna like there's threats coming out of the ocean.
Yeah,
we haven't asked like who's sending them or why.
Yeah, like what woke these up? Why are they suddenly here?
Yeah, so I know. Obviously, I actually it's for me it wasn't a clear-cut winner about which story, the flashback or the contemporary story, I liked better. Watching Wonder Woman kind of like take charge and dictate what the Tetracide is going to do and why you need to evacuate and how we're going to deal with that, and then eventually suiting up and dealing with it, all awesome and fun. I think the heart obviously is the flashback of her dealing with her feelings for Steve and what she decides to do about it, and Cersei's reaction to it.
Well, it's not just, I don't know if it's necessarily just her feelings for Steve. I think it's a combo. I think it's her, like, because she is very much a hero of myth and legend in this, like, it's her desire to live up to that, too. I think it's a combo there. And I definitely think the past story was stronger for me than this. I love the Tetracide. I love the rules of the Tetracide. I love the Amigara faults of the whole like
once you hear the sound, you'll be compelled to go to it and die.
Compulsion is something where I'm just like, that's so scary. This is so scary. My issue though was the number of times that Wonder Woman repeats what will happen.
It was a lot.
It was a lot, like in a way where I'm just like, I'm not sure if this is like, you know, trying to mimic something in mythology or not. It was just so strange. Like that was so bizarre to me. It was just the number of times, unless it was 4 times, and then that would be interesting because Tetra is 4. So I don't know. I didn't count, so I'll put a pin in that one.
But I didn't count either, but I did notice that same thing. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, no, I got it, and I get why you want to make sure we understand this is to make sure you understand what she does at the end. But I'm like, guys, it's just a lot.
Yeah,
I was like, I got it. I understand. You will be compelled.
Yes,
I get it. Thank you.
That's fair. But yeah, all the Cersei stuff and Wonder Woman's sacrifice to bring Steve back.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah,
like so good.
Yeah, great.
So
stuff.
Incredible, and I love that Steve recognizes it.
Yeah,
like he recognizes what it was, and you know, when he is able to put together why it was done. I like it. I thought that was really well done. And the fact that like obviously like we magic her a replacement, and then she's like, but also I have another replacement. I'm like, that's just dope.
Yeah. Oh no, her like physical replacement for the arm is so cool.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, Kelly, only a handful of us saw Furiosa apparently, but we all love it, and I'm here for it. I
Yeah.
love a good cool robot arm. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It is quite good. It is quite good. Um,
Sherman's
also,
crushing it. Looks
oh,
great.
yeah,
Metal
yeah,
composition is amazing.
they're 100% crushing it. And again, like the panel work is so much fun.
Yes.
So much fun. And I love them like quiet moments, like when Cersei recognizes what Diana has done. I
Yes.
love it. I love that so much. Like just this like, oh my gosh. Like what? Like I know why you did this, but why? Like don't do that. But yeah, like just showing like that classic Wonder Woman love is so great.
Yeah.
So great and such an interesting way to do it. It's so much more brutal. It's like this brutal way to show her love. And I'm like, I love this dichotomy of this like ultimate absolute Wonder Woman. So great.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Before we move on to Batman,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask your opinion, since we talked about it
Me?
at the top of the hour,
Oh, I didn't hear at the top of the hour.
regarding the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow announcement.
I didn't hear it.
Well, there are two announcements. The first of which is the movie begins filming in January.
Oh boy. Okay.
The
Where?
second is, oh yeah, right. We need to go. Probably friggin' Australia.
Can I go?
Right? If we can, I will try. I'll talk to our source and see what we can do. But they're filming in January. They have cast Jason Momoa as Lobo to be in the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie. I knew you weren't going to be doing backflips, but you do remember that Tom did say that Lobo was originally intended to be in the book.
No, I know. I know.
So at
But
least
sometimes when you're creating art, you have to step back and edit out because
well, which they did.
it's not always about the maximalist aesthetic when it comes to
Mhm.
certain things. I'm not saying it should be minimalist, but I'm just saying you have to find a balance, and maybe that was a good edit.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a fantastic edit for the comic. I think that the comic would have felt a little, while it was part of like the New Frontier period of DC, which was, in continuity. I think it would have felt a little too in continuity. I think Woman of Tomorrow works so much better as this kind of like tome that is evergreen and could be any when.
Yeah.
But I think that for them, they're like, yeah, and we think it's beautiful and fantastic. It belongs in our universe, and it also is going to be like a chapter in this ongoing interconnected universe saga. And she's going to space, and we got to introduce Lobo.
So let me like unpack the Lobo announcement in two phases. One, I think I know Jason Momoa has always wanted to be Lobo. I'm sure he's going to do a very good job at being Lobo. I will say Jason Momoa for me is not someone who melts into his roles. I'm sure this is going to be a good casting just because of the nature of who he is.
Yes.
But it's going to be very hard, I think, to separate it being Jason Momoa and being Lobo. Like I don't know if it's like he's gonna like be transformative in as much as his acting ability, but I think it's probably a good call.
Yeah.
Two, regardless of Tom King's desire to have him in there originally, the final story that we got was great without him. And I don't see him adding anything other than a desire to get him on screen as fast as possible, which is like, for me, the most like marketing thing ever, but it's like, this seems to happen to like all of my favorite characters and stories is that they become a vehicle for something else. And I'm hoping that that's not what we're going to see here. Like, I'm thinking like how Doctor Strange became just an emissary of like, well, we got to get the multiverse working.
Right.
We got to get that going on.
By the way, arguably they never got the multiverse.
No, but like, yeah, that's what your movie's going to be about. Multiverse. Got to get that. We got to really solidify that more so, right? Get in there and do that. And with this, I'm just like, please just don't make it about it being about Lobo.
Right.
Like, there are places for him to show up in there, but like, I don't need him. Like, I need him in there for maybe 10 minutes.
Right. Which he might be. I wouldn't be surprised if he was only in the movie for a little while and then shows up at the end. Like there might be, I can imagine him being in like one of the sequences, where she has to do something spectacular.
Well, here's the thing. The ending is clearly not going to be the ending. There's no way they're going to do that.
Why not?
It's a flash forward.
Oh yeah.
They're not
Well,
going
they'll
to do
just
it.
flash forward a little bit.
Yeah. No.
I hear you. All right, so we're gonna wrap up here.
But regardless, I want to go to the set. I just want to be, or like, I want to see it. Like if they're doing like a scene anywhere near me, I just want to be like, before they're like, get away.
Yeah, now get out of the way.
Here.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I'm sorry, you can't look over here. Okay.
No. Detective Comics 1092, Tom Taylor, McKelly-Annan. This continues the this new story arc where kids are being taken. Batman is given an elixir that is not Lazarus related that extends his life and makes him younger and more virile. There's also this like villain, I guess, named Asima, who steals the children, desiccates them, and then clearly they're like the company that's making people like young, or the wealthy elite young, are just using the blood of children to do
and
it.
Her name isn't the Desiccator?
No, well, that was taken by Todd.
Yeah.
Because he had an action figure with the same name that we own at least one of. I could have bought two, but I feel like one Desiccator is enough.
I'm really pleased that you didn't do that for a number of reasons. Mostly that it gives someone else an opportunity to have the Desiccator.
To own the Desiccator. I agree. I will say that we got a hell of a deal on the first Desiccator figure. So I've seen, future Desiccators I've seen, subsequent Desiccators, have been overpriced, let's say. But anyway, so yeah, I read Detective Comics 1092. Overall, I mean, it's a mystery. There's kids being killed. Batman is, younger, faster, stronger than ever. Tries to get to the bottom of this mystery while also working a case as Bruce Wayne on the surface. This is everything people should want. It's in fact part of like my kind of like love letter to Batman last week's episode, where I'm like, it's all coming at Batman. Like we're getting back to his roots and we're doing something interesting with Bruce Wayne, However, we also have a really pretty organic sequence where Batman and this character Scarlet, who runs or works for or chairs Theramize Health, which is the company that's giving him the treatments he's enduring to be younger. She's young, she's beautiful, she is charismatic and clearly under the thumb of some higher authority, while also probably the bad guy in the goggles and stuff. But she ends up sleeping with Batman or Bruce Wayne after a potential mugging, which she is quick to remind him of. I know your history, and I know this is like traumatic for you because you experienced this as well. So they sleep together, and while she's like in the bathroom, Batman absolutely uploads an Oracle cipher into her computer to steal data and information about like how this company is capable of performing life-saving treatment, or rather age-reducing treatment that also can't be accessible by anyone but the rich elite, because Taylor has something to say about that. But that the kids who are being desiccated come from a particular juvenile detention center, and that Scarlet is working with the detention center. So that's the connection between like the company and the kids. This would all be one thing if it weren't for the fact that Scarlet is also Joe Chill's daughter.
What?
So people are very upset with
That
the
seems
idea.
Wholly unnecessary.
Yeah. That Joe Chill, the murderer of the Waynes, had a kid. Two, by the way. There's another one in continuity. There's another daughter of Joe Chill in another book somewhere. But Taylor either doesn't remember or doesn't care. And she slept with Bruce Wayne. I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like there's no way that Bruce doesn't know that. And I'm sure that Taylor would tell you, like, who cares?
It's just an unnecessary complication.
Absolutely. It's a complication. I think it's deliberately done. I think that Taylor is poking the audience.
Sure.
Like, I think that everyone in the book will, when it's revealed, be like, okay, Like, I think that, Damien might be like, what? Or maybe Oracle. But outside of that, I think Bruce is like, I knew that like 10 days ago. Like, I did that. Like, I know. I'm over it. But I think it is definitely allowing for people to have a conversation about this book. Unfortunately, it's not the parts of the book that are good and people should be enjoying. I think it's just a cosmetic thing.
Right. But like, I'm sure people are more upset about like what they think it means. But for me, I'm like, if I was to be upset about something, it just seems like you've got this whole other thing going on. You don't need it. Like,
you
I'm
really
sure
don't.
you feel like it's like, oh, here's like a sexy thing for people to talk about and get them in. And it's just like, or just write a good solid story.
Oh, you sweet summer child. That's not how things work anymore. But what's funny is it's both how things have always worked and how nothing has ever worked. So there's no point in making an argument against not doing it. I think that people are upset. Also, Taylor brought up, I think he had like Tony Zuko's daughter become Dick Grayson's secret sister in his Nightwing book. So it's like, this is just a thing he does with Bat characters.
It's just like, haha.
Like, oh,
actually.
Right. So if Tom Taylor takes over a Batgirl book, does that mean that like the Joker will have a secret daughter who Batgirl or son that Batgirl will sleep with or team up with or turn out to be a secret sister next to? Like, I don't know.
Yep.
But we don't have to worry about that. It is. I couldn't care less, honestly. Like, for me, I'm like, I was like, like, all right, that's what Taylor wants to do. I mean, maybe it's because of the cyclical nature of comics. Maybe it's because Peter Parker has a sister and people both care a lot and don't care in any way or don't know.
I completely forget every time.
Every time Teresa comes up, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. Who cares? And it's like, no one will remember that Bruce Wayne slept with Joe Chill's just recently created daughter who will also be a supervillain. I don't know.
And again, it just seems like a needless complication. It seems a little like what he did in Nightwing paired up with Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah. That's which, by the way, if you pitched me, the editor, we're gonna do Taylor's Nightwing meets Mask of the Phantasm, I'm like, let's go. Green light.
Yo, you as the editor then has to go, in what way?
It's not my job to get in the way.
That's not getting in the way. That's just called a follow-up question.
Well, that's why you'd be a better editor than I am. But I do like this book and I like this series. And there's a great moment where, like, Bruce Wayne is basically James Bond. Like, where Bruce Wayne's like, yeah, I'm figuring this out, and like, and he's just like, he woos a woman. It's so rare to see Bruce Wayne actually like woo or be wooed by someone that isn't wearing a costume.
Right.
I was kind of like, this is refreshing. And not the Joe Chill stuff, but like removing the Joe Chill element, because it's really blink and you'll miss it. It doesn't really matter. It has nothing to the plot, which is what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it really doesn't matter. And
that's what I think makes me annoyed about it.
And that's what's annoying about it, because it's so cosmetic.
Lazy.
It is. Yeah. Well, it's not lazy, it's deliberate. But not in a good way. It's artificial, I want to say. It's very like, I did it for the lols. Or at the very least, I did it for the Twitter rage.
He's like, look at how mad they are. He's like, I'm in Australia, so who cares? I'm going to go to the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow filming. So.
By the way, we don't know where they're shooting that, but if
but you mentioned Australia before, so I was like, wait, I can tie this back.
He is from Australia, so yeah. But yeah, man, I liked the issue. I think Yenin does a great job. The action's fun. Damien does some neat things in here too. He feels bad because he like helped put the kid in a in their custody / protection in the first place. So, he feels responsible. It was overall a good book, but like, it was, again, like, and it's part of the problem when you do this, right? It's never just like, I'm going to like put a circle and a red arrow on the thumbnail of my image of my video so that people click on it. But once they're here, they'll love the video and they'll forget all about the clickbait I provided. Like, this is no one's talking about Yannen's art. No one's talking about the like speculation that Scarlet might be this character, the supervillain. Nobody's talking about like the James Bondification of Bruce Wayne, which is like something I want to see.
Right.
Or even the fact that like this is a detective story that's interesting.
Or the fact that Bruce is taking this thing that makes him feel younger, but it has like sinister origins.
Yeah, no one's talking about like the book. They're talking about the hook. That's a quote. We got to put that in something. Not yeah, more book than hook is I think what we should do. But it's just like, which is the problem when you do it. Like you be careful what you wish for. Like you got the eyes and you have the like trending, but you don't have anyone actually doing anything about it. Because like what we learned during the Zeb Wells run of Spider-Man, it was the #1 book from Marvel every single time that book came out.
Yeah.
Except when Ultimate Spider-Man came out.
Sure.
But it was still like, it was Marvel's like cash cow. Was one of the worst runs on Spider-Man. And the reason for that is because as perpetually online as all of us are, like we forget that there's a huge contingent of audience members who don't care about what some YouTuber thinks or don't care about what is said on Twitter or what's trending. They go to the shop, they pick up the book, they read it, and they go home. That's it. That's their relationship with the comic book. They don't have all this junk. So making Joe Chill's daughter, we're not junk, but like, all the extra. But making Joe Chill's daughter Batman's lover, even if it's like unbeknownst to him or whatever, it only affects the people who are already affected. It's like reminding the audience that they should like this video and subscribe to the channel. They're probably already subscribed. If you're watching the show live, odds are you got the notification. Like I'm preaching to the choir here. There's, we're not getting new converts as a result, and neither are they. And so as a result, if you strip that away and you go like, is this story stronger without it, or is this story at least the same without it?
Right.
Then should I cut it? I wonder.
Yeah. I agree.
But but I for book of the week, it's tough, man. I think I want to give it to Superman because I think it was such a fun issue. But I think I want to give it to Black Canary, Best of the Best #2.
Wow.
I think Absolute Wonder Woman was great, but Black Canary, Best of the Best made me feel very uncomfortable in exactly the way the book intended.
Okay.
Oh, if you should read this. I mean, like you shouldn't because it's like woof, but like
me.
It's just like it's just woof. It's rough. But Absolute Wonder Woman is really, it's like top 3.
Wow. Okay. All right.
But yeah, man,
it's Absolute Wonder Woman for me.
That's totally fair. Completely acceptable. How could it not be? It's a great series. So let's jump into some super chats before we get to the next element. Matt Fisher, happy New Year's, Scott and Jean. Until Ethan likes totemic spider powers, make mine ComicPop. Well, thank you very much. Will not ever like it, but you'll see him complain about it in this week's episode of Back Issues, available now on patreon.com/ComicPop. King of New York. Hey, Sal. Sorry to hear Tiffany isn't feeling well today. Hope she gets well soon. Don't worry. The Sal lads are here to keep you company. Hope you have a great new year, and here's to a fantastic 2025. Well, thank you, King of New York.
I love the Sal lads. I love that.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. He's the one who came up with that. He's like, what are your fans called? Salads? I'm like, thank you. Chocobo Kid, thank you for the many hours you entertained me, taught me, and inspired me in 2025. Happy New Year to you, Sal, and everyone at ComicPop. Thank you very much, Chocobo Kid. Thanks for being here and being such a loyal supporter. Matt Fisher, trying this again now that Tiffany isn't there. Happy New Year's, Master of Comics, until Ben figures out that the Riddler was using paint to make mine ComicPop. Thank you. Yeah. It's paint! You idiots! Dante Cook, hey, ComicPop family. Haven't been able to catch you guys live in a while. Here's to Tiffany feeling better and more great years ahead with the #1 YouTube channel in the world. Happy New Year. Thanks, Dante. Appreciate it, man. Tevia, why MJ jackpot failure and Lois as Superwoman works? Because we know that Superwoman is going to be a temporary thing because nobody cares about jackpot, and Lois has been around longer than Mary Jane, and so she's done it all and infinitely more before Mary Jane even was like a character. So it's probably that, MJ has a shorter lifespan, so when significant things happen to her, we notice. Somber Shadow 01. Hey, Sal. I hope you're having a good day. I recently got my dad into reading graphic novels and collected stories. I was wondering if you recommend anything. He seemingly likes pretty much everything. Well, I would recommend Kingdom Come. That's one that's an easy read and something he'll enjoy. If he's political, he'll enjoy Animal Pound. You should pick that up. If he likes thrillers and mysteries, he might enjoy Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees or Dark Spaces Dungeon. Either one of those is fantastic.
Yeah.
And self-contained. They can just read it cold. Don't have to worry about anything.
Okay, wait, before you go on, did you see this comment from Banksy?
I did not. You mean, here, you won an award. You may not be aware of it. The Comic Pals chose you as guest of the year. Oh, that's very nice. Good old Comic Pals. You guys, I'm sure, are aware of those guys. Nice little YouTube channel that has had me on, and I've run into them a couple times over the years. I ran into the creator and owner of the channel at actually the Comixology Mixer at New York Comic Con just the other month. But thanks, man. That's great. Thank you for letting me know. I'm so unplugged from all this stuff. Unless you mail me a thing, I have no idea what happened. But thank you. That's great. Although I will say, we were not in an episode of What If. That came up in the last episode. Yeah, we watched an episode, which was a huge mistake, and I regretted every second of it. But yeah, no, we're not in that show. Give me a break. Thanks. Let's see here. Hulkzilla, wishing Tiffany good health and wish you, the ComicPop crew, and his entire community the best as we start the new year. Whatever challenges awaits you, I'm sure you guys will rise above it all. Love it.
Nice. That was a great
excellent
callback.
Let's see here. Unpheasant 11 here late. Love Metamorpho. Yeah, Metamorpho's face is in the Superman trailer. Metamorpho is also a fantastic character who appears in at least one whole arc of the Batman Superman World's Finest series from Mark Waid. Great stuff. I'm not a huge Metamorpho fan, but I appreciate that there are fans for him. Chocobo Kid, get well, Tiffany. We want you to have a good 2026.
Thank you.
Me too.
Hopefully I can also have a good 2025.
I also agree. Cam, it's me, Cameron. Here's a contribution to the Tiffany NyQuil Fund. Get well.
Thank you. I don't think I need NyQuil. I don't know what I need. I just need this to stop hurting.
Yeah. Sinuses, folks.
They suck.
Bear Farmer, Spider-Man has an extra life right now. What's your best guess for how they're going to use that? I've got Last Guy Kills Him Twice on my bingo board.
I bet he saves someone else.
Yeah, it's going to be that he saves somebody else. I thought he was going to be one life down. And he's going to use the deficit.
We're setting him up for something, whether he saves someone else or he saves maybe one of the kids of Cyttorak, where they're just like, this Cyttorak sucks.
Yeah. This is a great opportunity for them to resurrect Gwen if they want to. Where it's like, you have one more. And he's like, yeah, Gwen Stacy.
He's like, yep, I'm going to resurrect my marriage.
Yeah. There's so many dead people he could bring back, too. He'd be like, Lethal Lebensky. Aunt May's lonely and she needs a guy. And
I like he went for that, not Uncle Ben.
No. Uncle Ben needs to stay dead. There used to be an old adage, folks. Nobody stays dead in comics except for Uncle Ben, Jason Todd, and Bucky. 2 out of 3. Cat Layer Defend for Treats. I'm really glad New Gods lived up to the hype. I loved the team on Dawn Runner. The hardcover looks great. Also, thanks, ComicPop Crew, for an excellent year. Well, thank you very much, man. Yeah,
Hooray.
Great series all around. Roger, thank you for the amazing content. That is it. Well, thank you, Roger. That's all. That's enough. Appreciate it, man.
Oh, thank you.
Club Remix. What's the craziest Christmas gift you ever got? No joke. My sister got me the magic mushrooms this year, but I'm kind of a prude when it comes to drugs. That's fair. I would not carry them around. If you don't want to take them, you could either give them back to her, or you could just discreetly get rid of them. But I wouldn't bring them anywhere to offer them to somebody else. You're only going to get arrested. But yeah, as far as crazy, I don't know. It's tough. I haven't gotten I've gotten wonderful gifts. And I remember one year my parents got me a duffel bag. And I was like, this is the crappiest Christmas present. This I will never forget how crappy this Christmas present is. Like, my parents are not bad people who forget I exist. They get me nice things. But one Christmas, I got a duffel bag. And I opened it up and there's nothing in it. And I'm like, thank you. I don't know what that was all about, but I'll never forget getting a duffel bag for Christmas one year.
Mine would be the song you got me.
I wondered if you would think of that.
Yeah, of course I would.
Yeah. That was early. I've been really trying to catch that wave ever since.
Yo, it's not a competition.
I know.
It's that you're not competing with your past self. It's just that was an unforgettable.
I'm glad I could provide it. Yeah, I commissioned
I dropped it in chat.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, she had it ready.
A fantastic composer to essentially construct a theme for Tiffany, which I should have gotten an orchestra to play at the wedding. That would have been cool. When you came down the aisle, that's what I should have done. But yeah, and I made sure because I've seen the song co-opted. People have used it.
People use it all the time, even though it's don't. It's my song.
Yeah, but I was clever enough to name it. It's Tiffany's theme.
Yeah, they don't credit it.
No, they should.
They just steal it, even though it's please don't do that. They don't wait to hear back. They're just nah, I'm just gonna do it a please. I was like, oh, okay.
Bear Farmer, you think Steve Trevor's dead or at least died? Oh yeah, no, he died.
No, now, currently, is he still dead?
Like Prime or Absolute?
Oh, I was thinking Absolute because we were talking about that. So I assumed it was that.
I don't think he's still dead in Absolute, but I think he is still dead in Prime. But he will be back in Prime as well. That's interesting. Both Steve Trevors died in a Wonder Woman book this year. Dante Cook wanted to give you a little more help with Tiffany's dream of going to the filming site of Supergirl's Woman of Tomorrow.
Wherever it is.
Wherever it may be. I will roger that. Thank you, Dante. Bear Farmer, last one because I love the book. Why no volume per season for Invincible, or at least one every once in a while? It's so good. I don't like Invincible. That's why. But maybe I'll do another volume since, that train will eventually run out. I know that Kirkman is thinking 7 or 8 seasons of Invincible, which doesn't seem like enough, but we'll all be dead before that season comes out because it takes 3 years per season. But I would return to it. The only reason we even did the first one is because they won, we did a giveaway for a charity.
Yes.
What a lucky idea that was. I'm so glad that one of our patrons picked that. And I was like, thank you. Because that episode did great. Darren Leslie Jr., any updates on how you're planning to cover Secret Wars next year? I like Tiffany's idea for doing a book once a month leading to the finale. I don't know. I haven't thought about it at all. I really should. But I don't think I'm going to do what I suggested. I think it's more fun to just kind of jump in and do anything. But I will be more deliberate. Thorn Identity, Happy New Year, Tiffany. Take care of yourself. You're necessary.
No, Happy New Year! ! Tiffany, take care of yourself.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. Man.
Thank you. Yes. Hey, Happy New Year to you as well.
You too, man. Yeah, she's a pro. She knows. Madifer, hey, Sal and Tiffany, happy holidays. Hoping for some new 52 events like Rot World, Red Daughter of Krypton, and Super Doom for back issues someday. Yeah, that'd be cool. I want to do one that somebody suggested a long time ago of this weird, alternate history Batman and Robin story. I don't remember what it was called. It's over there. I'll get to it eventually. Sean D, I like y'all. Y'all cool. Anyhow, hope you feel better, ma'am. Well, thank you, Sean.
Thank you so much.
Let's return to say, I'll never forget one year my niece got my dad a pumpkin for Christmas. Not a decorative one, just a hollowed out pumpkin. She put some paper in it. She even removed the fun part of having a pumpkin, which is hollowing it out.
I love
it's insanity. I love that. That's really
so
cute. A pumpkin. That's awesome. All right, let's recommend some comics that are coming out this week that we think you should check out.
All right,
Batman...
I'm ready for this.
Oh crap! You wanna go for it? You wanna take it over?
Sure. Saga number 71 is coming out. Hooray, hooray! Brian K. Vaughan, Fiona Staples. Love this cover. So good.
Yeah.
X-Force number 7 will be dropping, written by Jeff Thorne with art by Jim Toe. Excited for that as well. This is it. This is like my tether to X-Men right now. Is this
it really
book.
is.
And I'm thrilled with that.
Yeah.
Batman Full Moon number 3 will be dropping as well. It's written by Rodney Barnes with art by Steven Subic. Man, like, this is just a fun book.
Yeah.
Just a fun book. I don't know if this is the penultimate issue. I can't remember if this is 4 issues or not.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, how much longer can we deal with the werewolf? I don't know. But I'm here for it. I also want to give a shout out to, I think this is really, really cool. And I definitely want to grab this myself. Something is Killing the Children script book number 1.
Oh.
This is for you fans of Something is Killing the Children. It's an exclusive behind the scenes look at the creation of this book. It'll have James Tynion IV's original script in it. Cool. I think that's really cool. Cool. And if you are a collector of those things, I just want to put it on your radar. Your comic shop, you may have to look around for it if you don't already have it on a list for yourselves. But call around and see if anybody has it.
Yeah. Well, as far as my recommendations go, Batman 156 from Chip Zdarsky and Tony S. Daniel. I love this series so far, so I'm going to see how that goes. Absolute Superman number 3, I'm going to read this. Jason Aaron, Rafa Sandoval. Interesting series. Ultimates 8, Dennis Camp and Juan Frigeri. Sounds exciting. Birds of Prey 17, Kelly Thompson and Sammy Bezri is coming out. That's a great series overall. Ben Percy and Josh Cassara are teaming up to make Deadpool Wolverine the ongoing series a thing, and I'm down to check that out. And What If Galactus Transformed the Hulk from Matt Groom and Lan Medina is coming out. Anytime you're bringing back What If, I'm down.
I was wondering if you were going to pick that up. I was like, I don't know.
Some I'm going to try.
Comics are like,
Yeah. Yeah. But before we go, I wanted to treat some folks to an amazing little tribute to themselves that they made on social media because they deserve it. Tenchi from social media has honored us over the last year with a depiction of the episode of Back Issues we did that week, every week for 52 weeks. And so they produced this little like kind of wrap up that kind of summarizes everything. And I think it's fun to share. So here it is. This is just a little depiction of what we were all about.
I love it. I love the subtle motion of some of the characters.
Oh my God. Yeah. Just the depiction of everybody, like adapting different art styles and yeah,
absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Really brings into perspective how much show there is every year.
Yeah, but it's great. And look at this.
Look at that.
I love Santa at the top, and it just works.
Yeah,
it works.
It really does.
Because we did it. It's not just he's just at the top for fun.
Yeah.
So good.
So sweet. Really appreciate all that
thank
work.
you. I want to say thank you to Tenchi. I know you already have, but like for like sticking it out the whole year, just taking it upon themselves to put this together, to do this each week. It's a lot. It's a lot to do. And like not just like it was never phoned in.
No.
Never phoned in. Always super creative, always like something unexpected. From it, trying different things. So yeah, it's just a great series of art, and hopefully that helped Tenchi to find some more fans of their art, because I think it's a really great style, and I loved watching it develop over this full year, because that was the thing too. It's like we started at one place, we ended in another, and it was just like improvements, just great stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hope it helped at the very least get Tenchi some more eyes, but also I hope that it helped Tenchi like kind of experience this like this challenge and develop his art style, and it's just so cool. It was always such an honor to see every week.
Yes.
And so grateful for it.
Yeah, no, this is to answer a question in the chat. This was something that Tenchi created on their own and just said like, hey, is this cool? And we were like, it is very cool. It is very cool. When Sal did hire them to do some work outside of this project, and
Yep.
they were like that was completely higher.
Yeah, you might recognize his work in the Doctor Strange Into Shambhala episode. He did the mini JMD Mateus that we provided. So that's really cool. Yeah, I'm hyped. But yeah, so besides that, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. I want to thank Tiffany for braving her illness or her fatigue. I guess we could put it that way.
I'm not even tired. I'm just like not comfortable. Just everything here to here just like hurts.
Yeah.
Right here. Right here.
Ugh. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Well, we want to take a minute to thank everybody here who's watching the show both live and afterwards, or if you're listening to the show on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, thank you. And Happy New Year to all of you. Have a wonderful 2025. We look forward to spending it with you and for you spending a little bit with us. We really, really appreciate it, and we appreciate you, and we thank you so much for being here, for watching, for your comments, for your patronage. We really, really, truly appreciate it, and we wouldn't be able to do this without you. So thank you all, and Happy New Year to all of you. We'll see you guys next week with another episode. Of course, there's more to come. We've got some great ideas. Tiffany and I want to sit down and do a kind of like recap of the best of 2024. But I'm looking forward to seeing what we have to offer you in 2025. So thank you all. Thank you, Tiffany, for dropping in. And we'll see you guys next time with another episode of Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
So long, everybody.
Bye.